Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be showing you my skincare for when my skin has an allergic reaction to a product. I don't know if allergic reaction is really the right word to use this sort of thing, but my skin does not work well with a lot of other ingredients. I do have like a little wee list of ingredients that I need to avoid, and I usually do so, which is pretty good, but when I don't, I end up with skin that looks like this, and while it may not look like much from far away, up close and like to touch my skin, it feels horrible. Like, it feels so, I can feel so many tiny bumps. It's so rough. It feels like sandpaper. It's awful. I hate it. But I wanted to show you guys what I do for my skin when it is in this state, because it will be like this for 3 to 5 days generally. I try and avoid getting allergic reactions to ingredients as much as possible, which is why you guys see me avoid certain ingredients in skincare. But sometimes when I don't read the labels properly, this is what I get. So the product that caused this reaction was a sample size of the Kate Somerville Eradicate Overnight Lotion. I got this in an order from Mecca Cosmetica. It was just one of the freebies, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, it looks interesting. It's got retinol in it, and I have been looking for a product that contains retinol. I haven't been able to find one so far, and this is a definite no. And when I went through the ingredients, I was kind of like, oh, there's nothing in here that would be really awful for my skin. There were a couple of interesting things. So salicylic acid, my skin doesn't generally work well with salicylic acid, but it doesn't normally cause an allergic reaction. It's just that my skin doesn't particularly like it. But it also could be the retinol in this product as well that my skin doesn't like. I haven't tried this type of retinol before. Where is it? I can't even find it. Yeah, it's a retinol propionate. My pronunciation is not as good as my reading level. So this is going to be my skincare routine for when my skin is in an allergic reactive state. It can be made worse by some skincare ingredients and some skincare steps, so I'm going to show you the ones that work best for me personally. Of course, this does not mean that it will work well for you. This is just my personal experience with my skin and what works best for me personally. So in the morning my face feels super dry. It feels pretty awful, but I do still need to wash it because my skin just requires being washed in the morning. I know that a lot of people don't feel like they have to, but I do. So I'm going to be using my new favourite, which is the Pure Made Wonder Stick Cleanser. I have this in the rose version, which looks a lot like the Sun 37 Miracle Rose Cleansing Stick. It even sounds like the Miracle Rose Cleansing Stick, and it's actually only a couple of ingredients away. So this one does work really well with my skin. Unfortunately, it's not really sold internationally yet. I think they are working on that, which is going to be really good because I will just like continuously buy it. So yeah, it almost smells the same, but it's not quite right. It cleanses my skin super gently and super well, which is obviously what I want in a cleanser because my skin is feeling so sore and sensitive. I don't really want it to be that exfoliating, so instead of rubbing it on my face, I do rub it on my hands. And then rather than using anything to actually help me rinse the product off, I'm just going to be using water to rinse it off. And then before my skin dries out entirely, I'm going to be using a little mister. This is just got the Mamonde Rose Water Toner in it. It's super lightweight, but it's really handy to have in the bathroom, so that my skin doesn't dry out from the time that I finish washing my face till when I can actually get the rest of my skincare on. So now that my face washing is done, I'm going to move on to toners, and I'm going to use the Dear Claire's Supple Preparation Facial Toner. This is in the regular scented version because I don't find that the scent is irritating to my skin whatsoever. I've been using this toner for quite some time now, like I would say over a year, and I know that it works so well with my skin. It never irritates it. So this is something that I can rely on to actually use on my skin when it is irritated like this. I don't want to rub my skin at all because it actually is very painful, so I don't want to cause any excess friction at the moment until I've got enough hydrating layers on my skin. And I'm going to do about 6 to 7 layers of this toner, or until my skin feels properly hydrated, because it does feel so dry and so tight at the moment, and I'm only going to be using this one toner, so nothing else for toners. So now that I've done a few layers, my skin feels nicely hydrated. The way I can tell is that when my skin feels like it has absorbed the toner, it doesn't feel dry. I can feel like a little bit of moistness to my skin, and when I move my face, it doesn't feel tight. It is starting to sting a little bit though, so It's great. Next up, I'm going to be using the I'm From Ginseng Serum. I love this. It is very scented, so if your skin doesn't like essential oils and scents and products, then you will not like this. But I think that this is amazing and it calms my skin down a lot. It plumps it up, it makes it super bright and super nice. So this is the serum that I'm going to be using today. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to use most of a drop a top of this and gently press it into my skin. So you can kind of like rub your skin a little bit now, most likely because it's got a bit of moisture in it, but I prefer to just press if I can, just to avoid any excess trauma to the skin. Next up, I'm going to be using my cream. This is the Nacific Real Floral Air Cream in Rose, and this is not actually the cream that I would like to be using, but it's one of the only ones that I can at the moment because some of my other creams have got like PHAs in them. Because this product is so watery, I can use my finger to scoop it out if I use a little paddle or a scoop. Honestly, it just kind of gets everywhere, which is so annoying, so I just dip my finger in even though it's super unhygienic. And then because of its thin watery texture, I can just press this over my skin like normal. I don't have to rub. And then lastly, when the cream has dried down enough, it's slightly sticky, but that's fine, I'm going to be using my sunscreen, which is the Nacific Fresh Herb Origin Sunblock. This is a calendula one. So for this sunscreen, it does have a really nice texture and a really nice scent. There's no white cast on my skin and it is nicely moisturizing, so it's pretty much everything I want in a nice moisturizing and gentle sunblock right now. I swipe this across my skin really gently just to get the placement, and then I use my hands to press and pat it into my skin, which is a really good thing about this sunscreen. It's really easy to work with. It does leave a bit of a dewy finish, but I'm not particularly bothered by that. My skin looks atrocious as it is, so like having a little bit of dew on it really isn't going to make much of a difference to me. At night I pretty much have the same routine up until the cream step, so instead of putting it on my normal day cream, I'm going to start with an oil. So this is the Mom Day Age Control Camellia oil. It's just a really nice facial oil, and it keeps my skin super hydrated. So I add quite a fair amount of this to my skin and press it in as normal. The heat from my hands helps the oil to absorb a little bit more into my skin, and also the gentle pressing motion of my hands does kind of make my skin feel a little bit better, especially if it is very itchy, because it stops me from actually scratching my skin. My skin has gotten a little bit worse throughout the day, and now I've got a whole bunch of little whiteheads around my nose too, so I'm definitely going to have to wear gloves tonight so that I don't scratch my skin any further in my sleep. It is so itchy, like, oh, it just so awful. So this won't absorb fully into the skin, which is totally fine, and I'm going to go on to my cream step next as well. So because my current cream is a PHA, which is lightly exfoliating, I obviously don't want to exfoliate my skin any further, it's just going to irritate it. So I'm going to be using my Vanilla Co. Miss Flower and Mr. Honey cream, which is a really beautiful overnight sleeping mask. I apply a small amount of this cream because I'm going to be up for another about 3 hours, I would say, and then I'll monitor my skin and see if I need to apply another layer of this before I go to bed. There's always the possibility that my skin will start to dry out as well, so I just carry around that little rose mister throughout the night as well. I know it seems extreme, but the more dry my skin gets, the itchier it feels, the more I want to scratch it, the worse it will be. So my skin looks super oily and super dewy, but it doesn't feel tight and itchy at the moment, and that really is the aim for me, to soothe my skin, to make it feel less awful, and to try not to touch it as much as I can, because the more I touch it, the more I scratch it, the worse it is going to get. So it doesn't really matter to me that I look like the world's like oiliest teenager right now, especially with my hair in a bun. So delightful. But yeah, that's kind of like the reality of having like an allergic reaction on your skin. Like, it's not glamorous and it's not fun. So if my skin gets any better or worse, I'll update you guys tomorrow, just for fun, just for interest, in case your skin isn't like mine and decides to have reactions to certain ingredients. Good morning, it is day 3 of allergic reaction skin, and my face has stopped itching, which means that the actual reaction itself has stopped, so it shouldn't get any worse from now. And I haven't got any new whiteheads pop up overnight, but my skin is just looking very dry, very flaky. Got a nice beautiful pimple here, thank you skin. So the worst patch is still around here, so I've got these little whiteheads, but they feel like dry now, which means that they'll probably pop when I wash my skin. But I've got a ton of dry skin around my nose, which is pretty awful, but that pretty much just requires a bit more moisture. Overall, my skin still has the texture of sandpaper, which feels disgusting, but it doesn't look as bad as it did yesterday. It's not patchy and red. I didn't manage to get the first day of the reaction on camera because I was going to work, so I just covered it up with foundation. So yeah, definitely looking better today, and I can be a little bit more adventurous with skincare now, so I can use like a moisturizing mask because it's not going to react with anything on my skin. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. So today is day 4 and my skin is mostly back to normal. It appears just like it regularly would. It feels still a little bit like sandpaper, especially on my forehead and my nose, but I was able to gently exfoliate it last night with my Lush Angels on Bare Skin. Did a face mask and it's pretty hydrated at the moment. I am using the, oh my god, those birds are so loud. I am using the Vanilla Co honey cream during the day at the moment because my skin just feels like the Nacific isn't enough, so I'm listening to my skin and using the heavier cream. How well my makeup will stick to it today is debatable, but I'm going to give it a go anyway. So it is day 5 and my skin is pretty much back to normal now. It feels a little bit dry, but it doesn't feel like sandpaper anymore, and there's no extra bumps. So that is pretty much it for my skin. It is no longer sensitive or reactive. It is totally back to normal, so there you go. Having an allergic reaction is not fun at all, and I wouldn't recommend it. And this is why every time you guys see me like opening mask packs and like, oh, I'm not going to use this because it's got Saccharomyces in it. This is why I don't want my skin to do this. It feels awful. It looks awful. Having allergic reactions to skincare is no joke. So that is why I avoid things like fermented ingredients are really bad for my skin, as well as like charcoals really don't work that well for my skin either. So far, salicylic acid doesn't seem to be the best thing for my skin, and I need to go through the product that did this and see what actually triggered my skin to do this, because it's something I obviously want to avoid, and this is why I always read the backs of my skincare ingredients before I put them on my face, which I obviously didn't do well enough, and this is the result. So I sincerely hope that you guys don't get reactions like this to skincare products, because I know it's not fun. But if you do, these are the steps that I take to stop my skin from reacting more. And I pretty much go through this for about 3 to 5 days. Sometimes if it's a not so bad reaction, which this doesn't seem to be actually too bad, it can maybe take like 2 to 3 days. If it's really bad or I don't know what is causing the reaction, if I've tried too many skincare ingredients, new skincare products at the same time, and I don't know which one is causing the reaction and I use it again, it'll make it worse, obviously. So sometimes I've had reactions for like 2 weeks, which is again not nice, not pretty, not fun. So I hope this was a little bit enlightening. If you guys don't have allergic or reactive skin, then maybe you learned something about what it's like having skin that hates you sometimes. Yay! But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, this isn't initially what I had planned to film. I was going to film a skincare routine this weekend, but I was just going to be filming one that has like fun new products in it. But no, my skin is not having it, so I thought that this was at least something interesting to show you guys rather than not filming anything. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!